Day 1 and I spawn in as Ahsoka Tano. Almost immediately, I'm surrounded by a group of battle droids. There's too many of them for me to deal with on my own. I need to find my master, the great Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker. As I was running from the battle droids, I remembered him talking about wanting to become a Jedi Master. I really hope he gets there one day. Day 2 and I finally made my way to the Jedi Temple. There are so many Jedi. How am I going to find Master Skywalker and continue my training? I hope I can become a Jedi Knight as Anakin becomes a Jedi Master. Day 3 and I finally come across Anakin. Ahsoka, I have bad news. Master Windu has denied me the rank of Master. Oh no, what happened? I was standing in the front of the entire Jedi Council. I asked to be granted the rank of Master and he said no. It was so embarrassing, Ahsoka. I need to be alone a while. I'm so sorry, Anakin. I understand. While I'm away, I want you to keep up your training. Days 4 to 7, and I continue training in the ways of the Jedi. If I'm gonna be a Jedi Knight, I need to practice my lightsaber skills. I practiced the different lightsaber moves Anakin had shown me, training from dusk till dawn for 3 days without rest. And then on day 8, I went looking for those battle droids. I knew that with my new training, if I was brave enough, I could defeat them on my own. After walking through the forest for a full day, on day 9, I finally found them. But they weren't alone. They were with the leader of the Separatist army, General Grievous, who'd been trained with a lightsaber by the evil Sith Lord Count Dooku. I need to be careful and plan my attack. On day 10, I built myself a temporary home nearby, a place where I could come to rest after the fight. I made sure I crafted enough supplies and also made sure to have some food and make sure my health was full before I attacked. On day 11, General Grievous and his battle droids had my house surrounded. They'd discovered it while I was sleeping.
General Grievous is here!
I quickly lunged at General Grievous, catching him off guard. I attacked and cut down several of his battle droids, but knew I wasn't going to be strong enough to take down Grievous on my own. I was going to need some help. After destroying all his droids, I ran through the trees and eventually escaped. On day 12, I made my way back to the Jedi Temple in search of a great Jedi. General Grievous had to be dealt with. If we didn't defeat him soon, he would grow more powerful with his droid army and spread terror and fear throughout the galaxy. But there was one Jedi I knew would be able to help me. On day 13, I found him, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ahsoka, I'm so glad you found me. I have some terrible news. What is it, Master Kenobi? Ahsoka, Anakin has turned to the dark side. What? No, Obi-Wan, this can't be true. It's true, Ahsoka. That's impossible! Ahsoka, get a hold of yourself. As Ahsoka was coming to grips with the fact Anakin had turned to the dark side, there was a massive bang that shook the halls of the Jedi Temple. We're under attack! Ahsoka and Obi-Wan raced out into the hallway. Clone troopers had marched into the Jedi Temple and were shooting at the Jedi. We need to get out of here. There's too many of them for us to stand a chance. Ahsoka and Obi-Wan ran for the nearest exit, but it was already swarming with clones. We need to fight our way through! Ahsoka and Obi-Wan began slicing their way through clone after clone. They needed to stick together if they were going to get out of here alive. But just as they were getting close to the exit, a dark figure appeared down the other end of the hallway. It slowly approached closer and closer. The hallway seemed to get hotter as the dark presence moved closer. It can't be. It can't be. It was Anakin. He truly had turned to the dark side. Ahsoka, you need to run. Get off the planet. I'll rendezvous with you later. But Obi-Wan, I can't leave you. Run, Ahsoka! I ran outside and didn't look back. Days 14 to 20, I was scattered. I'd made my way to the desert of Tatooine, the planet where Anakin had grown up. I built myself a new home with all the supplies I could possibly need to lie low for a little while I figure out what to do. Was Obi-Wan okay? I don't even know if he made it out of there alive. All I can remember are the screams of the other Jedi as I escaped from the Jedi Temple and it became overrun with clone troopers. Why had the clones turned on the Jedi? Was Anakin controlling them? I couldn't believe he'd turned to the dark side, all just because he was denied the rank of Master. Life was hard out here in the desert. Supplies were limited. I had to do a lot of digging to actually find anything useful. Now I finally understood why Anakin hated sand so much. Days 21 to 25, I resumed my training. The last time I'd used my lightsabers was cutting down clones in the Jedi Temple. I needed to make sure my skills were still sharp, that I'd be ready for whatever the galaxy threw at me next. On day 26, I received a message from Obi-Wan. It was urging all surviving Jedi to stay away from the Jedi Temple. How many of us were even left? But wait, I wasn't even a Jedi. I never completed my training. Day 27, and I decided it was time to explore Tatooine. I wanted to go searching for Mos Eisley and see if I could find supplies to repair my ship. I began walking through the desert. The sun was hot. I even walked through the night when all kinds of creatures came out to hunt. I needed to be stealthy. Day 28, and I could see the wretched hive of scum and villainy up ahead in the distance. I was nearly there when suddenly I heard a strange scream and Day 29, and I woke up with a massive headache. Where was I? It was dark and shadowy. I appeared to be in some sort of cave, but everything was hazy. I couldn't see properly. I think I was still recovering after being hit on the head. Day 30 and the dizziness had finally passed. I slowly started looking for a way out of the cave when, suddenly, a Tusken Raider! I'd heard about them before from Anakin. I didn't want to hurt the Tusken. I knew their race was deeply cultural, but I wasn't going to make it out of here alive if I didn't do something. Then I remembered something Anakin had told me. I let out a loud shriek of my own. Almost immediately, the Tusken Raider turned to flee. It ran through the darkness to the exit. If I followed it, I could probably find my way out of here. Finally, I could see light. I reached the cave exit and started heading onwards to Mos Eisley. On day 31, I finally made it to the city of Mos Eisley. I'd never been in such a place. I was surrounded by creatures and species of all sorts. My favorite were these little guys called Jawas. Although under their cloaks with their yellow eyes, they looked like Sith Lords. Let's just hope that that theory doesn't actually come true. Day 32, and I finally found the cantina. This was probably the best place to ask where I could get parts for my ship. I walked inside to find even more species, most of whom I'd never even seen before. But there was one in particular that stood out. It kind of reminded me of a big furry dog. Even though he was huge in size, he looked friendly. I walked up to the Wookiee and asked if he knew where... I jumped back. That was loud. What's your name? My name's Ahsoka. I used to be a Jedi. Well, kind of. Chewbacca? That's a long name. Can I call you Chewie for short? Sorry if I startled you before, but you look like you've been all over the galaxy. Do you know where I can find parts for my ship? It needs repairing. Watto's workshop in Mos Espa? Gee, thanks, Chewie. Of course, I should have remembered. That's where Anakin grew up. But then suddenly, just as I was saying thanks to Chewie, a bar fight broke out in the cantina. The whole place turned to complete chaos. It was time to get out of here. Day 33, and I began my journey to the nearby city of Mos Espa. I couldn't help but think of poor Anakin, growing up on this sand planet as a slave, surrounded by all this sand, and then also being denied the rank of master. Day 34, and I made it to Mos Espa, now to find Watto's shop. As I walked through the town, I was approached by someone familiar. Obi-Wan, what are you doing here? Ahsoka, I'm so glad I found you. I need your help. Of course. Obi-Wan, what is it? Ahsoka, I found Anakin. He's on Mustafar. The lava planet? What's he doing there? Ahsoka, I need you to help me defeat him. But there's still good in him. He's killed so many Jedi, Ahsoka. He needs to be stopped before things get even worse. But it's not the Jedi way. We have to stop him before it's too late, Ahsoka. I can't, Obi-Wan. I want to help Anakin. We can't destroy him, just as he's destroyed us. It's not right. It's not what the Jedi would do. We must, Ahsoka. I'm leaving now. I'll meet you on Mustafar. Obi-Wan then walked away to find his ship. I can't let this happen. I need to do something. On day 35, I walked into Watto's shop, and immediately he was there to greet me. Welcome, welcome. So what can I do for you? I need parts for my ship. I have the parts, but they don't come cheap. I have Republic credits. Republic credits? Credits will do fine. No, they won't. You used to be Anakin's master, right? Little boy Annie, of course! How is the boy? Well, now he's my master, and he's in trouble. He needs my help. I'm sorry, but I still need some kind of payment. I'm a Tidari. Please, do it for Anakin. He could die if I don't help him now. That boy was always trouble, but he was a good worker. I can come back and pay you, I promise. You have my word, but right now, Anakin needs our help. Okay, take the parts, but only if you come back straight away. So I took the parts and thanked Watto. On day 36, I took a speeder bike and sped across the desert back to my ship. Time was precious. I kept my head down and my foot on the throttle. On day 37, I finally made it back to my ship. Before I could leave for Mustafar, I needed to repair the ship and make sure I had enough supplies for the journey. There was no time to rest. I worked through the night, piecing my ship back together with the parts Watto gave me. On day 38, I salvaged what I could from my base and increased my maximum health. I also made sure my lightsabers were in good condition and good to go. And then, on day 39, I was finally ready to leave for Mustafar. I hope it's not too late to save Anakin. I got in my ship and took off for Mustafar, and on day 40, I could see the orange glow of the lava planet down below. Even from up here in my ship, I could feel this planet had a dark energy. I hoped it hadn't completely consumed Anakin. I brought my ship down and found a place to land. It was hard to find somewhere where my ship wouldn't melt. There was so much lava. It was time to start looking for Anakin and Obi-Wan. I sat down and began to meditate. Maybe I could feel Anakin's presence through the Force. There he is, but oh no, I need to get there quick to save him. I sprung up and raced across the planet's surface. It was tricky navigating my way around. I had to jump over lava rivers. It was so hot. I could feel myself almost melting, but I pushed on. Anakin needs me. I have to push on. On day 41, I knew I was getting close. I came to a giant base. This has to be where Anakin's been all this time, but I needed to find a way inside. I climbed up the outer side of the structure, destroying blocks to reach the top and placing new ones where I needed them. But I had to be careful. One mistake and I'd fall in the lava. I finally made it inside. I could hear lightsaber clashes. Obi-Wan was here. But wait, that means they're fighting. I sprinted through the base and tried to follow the sound. I went from hallway to hallway, chasing the saber clashes. They were getting louder and louder. I reached an exit, and outside, right near the lava, I could see Anakin and Obi-Wan.
It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground.
You underestimate my power. Don't try it. I started running towards them, but just as I did... No! Anakin! No! And it was all over. Anakin lay on the ground, cut to pieces, and consumed by the dark side. I hate you! It was too late. I dropped to my knees and began to cry. Obi-Wan saw me and came over. I'm sorry, Ahsoka. I did all I could to try turn him back. He's been twisted by the dark side. I wish it didn't have to be this way. Maybe I could have saved him. He made his own choice, Ahsoka. Now you have to make yours. And with that, Obi-Wan walked away. I could still see Anakin lying next to the lava. I decided to get up and walk over to him. Anakin, I'm so sorry. But he had passed out. I couldn't bear to look at him. I had failed. I was too late. I needed to leave this planet and never return. On days 41 to 50, I went into hiding. I found myself a cave on a faraway planet, and for 10 straight days, I didn't leave. The galaxy was in ruins. Most of the Jedi had been killed during Order 66. The clones had turned on all of us. Palpatine was the Sith Lord behind everything, and had twisted Anakin to the dark side. And on Mustafar, Obi-Wan had no choice but to kill his former apprentice. His best friend. I needed time to process all this, time to reset my thoughts, and time to figure out what I was gonna do. I sat in the cave and meditated. And then on day 51, I heard a noise coming from outside. I quickly sprung up. It sounded like digging. Oh no, they found me. It's illegal to be a Jedi now. They've probably come to kill me. There was nowhere to really hide. I needed to face whatever was digging into my cave. Suddenly, a hole opened in the ceiling. I braced at the ready, but then I heard a familiar voice.
Ahsoka, are you in there?
It was a clone, but the clones had all been programmed to kill Jedi.
Ahsoka!
A clone dropped down into the cave.
Ahsoka, you are here.
Captain Rex?
Ahsoka, I'm so glad I found you.
But wait, aren't you gonna try kill me?
Sorry if I scared you. I had my inhibitor chip removed.
But how did you find me?
I tracked the beacon on your ship. What are you doing all the way out here?
Hiding, Rex. I have bad news. Commander Skywalker turned to the dark side, and then... the entire cave started shaking. Rex, what's happening?
The Imperials must have followed me here. I think that's their ship.
The Imperials?
Palpatine turned the Republic into his own empire. The clone army doesn't exist anymore. They're now an army of stormtroopers.
The rumbling was getting louder. We need to get out of here. Rex and I began digging a tunnel away from the rumbling, but several stormtroopers dropped through the ceiling and into the cave. They began shooting. Rex, you keep digging while I hold them off. There were only a few of them in the cave, but I can't imagine how many more of them were up above.
Ahsoka, this way!
I followed Rex through the hole he dug, and we made our way out of the cave. But just as we reached the surface, I felt a dark energy. The same dark energy I'd felt on Mustafar. I could see one dark figure with a red lightsaber drawn by his side. He appeared to be wearing a suit of armor with a black helmet. The dark energy I felt on Mustafar grew stronger. Oh no, it can't be.
Ahsoka, we need to go.
I stood perplexed and almost paralyzed, watching as this dark figure slowly walked closer and closer. I couldn't look away.
Ahsoka!
I snapped out of the trance and we began to run. The stormtroopers were firing at us from a distance. There were too many of them for us to fight. We needed to get out of here and fast. We made it back to my ship. Luckily, the Empire hadn't destroyed it. We took off and immediately made the jump to lightspeed. On days 52 to 55, we traveled the galaxy searching for a safe place to land, and on day 56, we finally landed on a forest planet. On day 57, we set up camp and built ourselves a small house. We spent days 58 to 60 gathering supplies, cutting down trees, mining, and gathering everything we'd need for the challenges that lay ahead. The Empire had taken over the galaxy. We were going to need everything we could get to defeat them. On day 61, we finally sat down to rest. I can't believe it. That Dark Warrior. That was Anakin.
But I thought you said Obi-Wan killed Anakin on Mustafar.
I thought he was dead. We left him on the side of the lava river.
There's no way he could have survived that.
That was definitely him. I could feel that same dark energy I felt on Mustafar. I can't believe he survived. Rex, have you heard from Obi-Wan?
Last I heard, he was holed up on Tatooine, watching over Anakin's son.
Anakin's son?
I thought you knew. His name is Luke Skywalker.
Then there still is hope. We need to go find Obi-Wan. Just then, a strange red bomb walked into Ahsoka and Rex's home. Who are you? If you're enjoying the video, make sure you subscribe to Bombastic before I blow up Rex and Ahsoka's home. Ah, it was the bomb. It was gonna explode. Quickly, we raced outside in the house we'd spent days building exploded to pieces. Day 62 to 65, we spent traveling to Tatooine. And on day 66, we finally landed on Anakin's homeworld. We began walking our way across the desert to find Obi-Wan. We knew he was living in a small house somewhere on the outskirts of town. I think that's it, up there in the distance. But just as we spotted his house, I heard a familiar sound. On day 67, I woke up in a cave. Everything was blurry. I could feel my head throbbing with pain. Not again. Captain Rex was sitting next to me, still unconscious. I should have been more careful. The Tusken Raiders got us again. And on the other side of the cave, I could see a Tusken approaching. I was so dizzy, I couldn't move. It was getting closer and closer. But then, from out of nowhere, a loud shriek. The Tusken stopped and turned around. There it was again, another shriek. The Tusken panicked and ran out of the cave, and in came another cloaked figure. Obi-Wan? Is that you? You need to be more careful about the Tusken Raiders, Ahsoka. Obi-Wan, you look different. These sandy plains have aged me. I'm not quite the Jedi I used to be before the dark times, before the Empire. We need your help. Of course, but first come. It's been a long journey, you need to rest. On day 68, we traveled to Obi-Wan's home. He took us inside, and to the side of the room, I noticed a storage chest. I asked Obi-Wan what was inside. He walked over, opened it, and took out a lightsaber. I recognize that lightsaber, that's Anakin's. He really was a masterful swordsman, and he was a good friend. What do you think happened to him? Anakin was twisted by the dark side, and that's why I had to do what I had to do all those days ago on Mustafar. I saw him on the snow planet. I know it was him. I could feel his presence. Obi-Wan, I need your help to turn Anakin back. It's too late, Ahsoka. Just like it was too late on Mustafar. Anakin is truly gone. Darth Vader is what remains. And just at that moment, I felt a strange presence close by. It was oddly familiar, like the same presence I felt when Anakin was nearby, but somehow different. Uncle Ben, are you home? It was Luke, Anakin's son. I couldn't believe he was here. Uncle Ben! Who is this? Hello, Luke. My name's Ahsoka. Your father, Anakin, used to be my master. You knew my father during the Clone Wars? And so on day 69, we sat down and I proceeded to tell Luke stories about his dad. His face lit up with joy each time I mentioned Anakin's name. The poor kid had never met his father and didn't even know what he'd become. On days 70 to 75, with Obi-Wan's help, I began to train Luke in the ways of the Jedi. Obi-Wan had given him Anakin's old lightsaber. Little did Luke know that that same lightsaber had been used to defeat so many Jedi. Its past was shrouded in darkness. Let's hope Luke can give the weapon a brighter future. By day 76, Luke's training had come a long way, and just as well because the Empire had begun searching the planet for any remaining Jedi. On day 77, I decided to take Luke into town to get supplies. We were walking down the main street when suddenly someone in green armor stepped out before us. It was a bounty hunter. Luke, do exactly as I say. Run! We turned to run from the bounty hunter and made our way through town, him chasing right behind, but he was too fast. I was gonna have to face him. Luke, keep running! I'll keep him busy. Luke continued running while I stopped to face the bounty hunter.
I am Boba Fett.
Boba Fett? I've heard of you before. You're a clone. Boba moved in to attack. I dodged to the side and lunged at him with my lightsaber. Meanwhile, Luke was running through the desert back to Obi-Wan's home when suddenly... a lone, dark figure. He turned to run the other way, but suddenly, he couldn't move. He was stuck. Something was holding him. The dark figure moved closer as Luke struggled, until Luke knew who stood before him. It was Darth Vader.
Luke, join me, and together we can rule the galaxy.
I'll never join you. You killed my father!
No, Luke, I am your father.
That's not true. That's impossible. No! Back in town, I was struggling to fight off Boba Fett. I was dodging his blaster fire left and right until I delivered a finishing blow, damaging Boba's jetpack, causing him to lose control and fly way up into the sky and over the building.
Barely a scratch. I've had worse.
I could feel a dark presence. I needed to get to Luke to make sure he was okay. I raced down the street and out of town until I could see Luke in the distance, but it was too late. There was someone with him. It was Darth Vader. I ran straight up next to Luke. Get out of here, Luke. I'll hold him off. Vader released Luke from his grip, and Luke hesitantly turned and ran. My master could never be as vile as you.
Anakin Skywalker was weak. I destroyed him.
Then I will avenge his death.
Revenge is not the Jedi way.
I am no Jedi. Vader was the hardest enemy I'd ever faced. He was so powerful, but luckily, I got in one really good hit. My attack had caused Vader to get sand under his armor. Sand was his greatest weakness. This was my chance to try turn him back to the light. I won't leave you. Not this time.
Then you will die.
Vader lunged at me with all his strength, but I used the Force to push him, and he fell on his back into the sand. Anakin was truly gone. Days 78 to 83, I spent meditating in Obi-Wan's home. I needed to spend time gathering my thoughts and processing everything that had just happened. It felt like Anakin was truly gone, but I just couldn't accept that. I still felt there was good in him, that there was still hope. On day 84, I went out to find Luke. He was standing on a hill outside, looking out to the dual suns. I went and stood next to him. Why didn't you tell me Darth Vader was my father? Because he's not your father. Anakin was your father. Darth Vader destroyed him, but I still think we can bring him back. There's still good in him. I can feel it. Luke, I think you're the only one who can bring Vader back to the light. Days 85 to 90, we spent working on Luke's training. Obi-Wan and I took turns teaching Luke the ways of the Force. If Luke was to face Vader on his own, his training would need to be complete. He'd need to be a Jedi Knight, just like his father before him. On day 91, Luke turned to me and said, I am ready. As ready as you'll ever be. And that was it. I told Luke Vader would be aboard the Death Star and he'd have to face the evil Emperor Palpatine as well. Only you can turn him back now. If I go with you, it'll only fuel his rage and remind him of his past. It's up to you, Luke. So Luke got in his starship and flew away. On days 92 to 99, I waited patiently, meditating. Whatever happened next would decide the fate of the galaxy. I just hoped Luke would turn Vader back because he'd need his help to defeat the Emperor. And then, on day 100, something really strange happened. Just as I was sitting meditating, I felt a familiar presence. Hey, Snips. Anakin! You were right about me, Ahsoka. There was still good in me. I'm sorry it took so long to find. Is Luke okay? You trained the boy well, Ahsoka. Thank you. Anakin, I'm sorry I failed you. You never failed me, Ahsoka. I failed myself. But now, I am one with the Force. I am so proud of what you became, Ahsoka.
Are you the one they call Ahsoka?